Hello, I'm Bill Valerio, and I run Woodmere Art Museum, where we tell the stories of Philadelphia's art and artists. Jazz is an art form which we are dedicated to presenting at Woodmere, and this short video is part of a series that will capture highlights from the outdoor jazz concerts we presented with my friend Warren Ori and the Arpeggio Jazz Ensemble on the front lawn of Woodmere in the fall of 2020. Everyone brought their own lawn chairs, set them up 6 feet apart, brought a picnic basket or a glass of wine, and with masks and social distance, had a great time. We are calling this series of videos Jazz from the Art. And please be on the lookout every Saturday. We will release a new video on Woodmere's website, send a link through our social media, and send reminders in our bi-weekly newsletters. Our intention is to build excitement for the new series of outdoor Saturday night jazz concerts we will be offering this coming spring, starting in late April or May. We are making these videos with the sole purpose of sharing the beauty and staying in touch. However, we encourage that if you are in a position to support jazz at Woodmere, please become a member, renew your membership, or make a donation at woodmereartmuseum.org and click on the donate button. And now I'm going to turn to my friend Warren and ask him to talk about this week's clip and this week's feature artist. We're talking about Song for My Father, a composition written by Horace Silver, a very moving piece of music, and with a featured musician, Adam Falk, who's a total star in my book, and a very deep musician, so appropriate for, in my eyes, for this composition. So, how did you select this composition as something that the Arpeggio Jazz Ensemble would interpret?
Well, I selected it again for a couple of reasons. I know that Horace Silver is a great, iconic name in jazz music or music, period. So I figured that would attract some interest. And then from a historic viewpoint, I know for a fact that the music that Horace Silver really became popular playing, along with drummer Art Blakey and along with trumpeter Lee Morgan, the Philly guy, was called hard bop. Now, this was music of the 50s, and it also coincided with a program that was presented at Woodmere dealing with the 50s. So all of that seemed to come together and just made sense. But when we talk about the music of hard bop, Horace Silver was the co-founder of the Jazz Messengers with Art Blakey. And one of their missions was to bring more interest to the quote unquote non-jazz public, the squares as they might have called them, to get to get them more interested in the music, because jazz was considered so deep and so way out and far out. And prior to hard bop, you had bebop with Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, and that music was great too, but mainly for the hardcore jazz audience, because some of it was so quick and fast and unintelligible even to some people. But hard bop put more of a funky soul feeling into it. So people could even dance to this music. And Horace Silver put out so many tunes, the Jody Grind and 1, 2, 3, and so many songs that just grabbed people and made them get up out of their seats and move. And Song for My Father, I think, was very significant only because not only is it considered one of Horace Silver's greatest tunes, but it does pay homage to his father, who he put his photo on the cover of the album that came out. That is his father sitting there with the pipe and the hat on. And Horace had a great respect for his father. And I think it's great to show jazz musicians we're not just always wearing sunglasses, oops, like I do, but we're not just always wearing sunglasses and in some dark bar smoking cigarettes and being all deep. Like, we also have feelings for our family. We also have things that we feel very strongly about. And Horace felt very strongly about giving his father a lot of credit. And and now let's talk about some real basic stuff. He was a great piano player. I mean, he could play all the stuff, which is why I chose my man, Adam Falk, because Adam, of all the people I wanted to do this program, once we decided we were going to do it, I called him. He was available, and not only available, he was excited. He was like, "Oh man, this is crazy." And Adam, of course, goes by. I met Adam in a joint, in a juke joint bar called Charlie B's on Stanton Avenue. I was playing with a Ma Rainey type singer at the time, and Adam showed up. He said he had just gotten to town from New England. He was young, and he looked like a country boy coming in. No offense, Adam. He looked like a country boy coming in, just sitting there. And somebody said, "Oh, this guy plays piano," and he got on piano, and I knew right then I got to get this guy's number. Now that was probably 25 years ago, 20 years ago or so. But Adam is I don't use this word lightly. He's a master at that keyboard because he plays and he means it. If you watch Adam's face, what I like is how he reacts to other people playing too. He's just not in his own shell. When somebody else, when Larry takes a great solo or Calvin or Frank or whoever, Adam shows that. And Adam does this thing we call and response. It's a very African thing in jazz where I might play something on the bass like boom, boom, ba doo, boom, boom. Then you hear Adam go bop, bop, dee, dee, bop. You know, I mean, he just amazing like that. So Adam was definitely my first choice, and I'm so glad the one to do this program, Song for My Father, the music of Horace Silver and Lee Morgan. He did it. He definitely did it.
You know, Warren, there's something so wonderful about this clip. And what you were just saying reminded me of it because there's a point where I think Larry is doing a solo on the saxophone, and Larry is positioned between you and Adam. And there's a clip where you can see you and Adam are kind of looking at each other going, whoa, he's deep in it. You know, you can see that Larry, talking about Larry Price, you know, he's in his own immersed world.
Right.
And you and Adam are just responding to his intensity of presence there. And then of course, Adam does the same thing. And it's beautiful because in the clip, you can also see how Adam starts with a little note and then develops it and then is just, again, completely immersed. So an amazing clip. I just wanted to say, one of the things you were describing about hard bop and the desire of jazz artists to broaden the audience, it is something that they had in common with the artists of Group 55, Sam Feinstein and Group 55, the exhibition that you were mentioning. Part of their goal was to take the abstraction of the arts of the 20th century and to broaden it for a broader audience. And I think it has to do with a consciousness that comes in the post-World War II era that, like, we're kind of all in this together, and artists are finding this deep kind of core of music that's different from traditional classical art. And, you know, I think you probably say the same thing about music.
Oh, yeah.
And the artists of this generation are wanting to share that with more people, not have the arts and not have artists speak to each other, but speak to a broader audience. And so it's really interesting that that's a feature, you know, on a deeper level of the motivations of these figures.
Yes, and another aspect of that, I mean, it's a little more commercial, so to speak, but when you broaden your audience, you broaden your income, you know, because there are, you know what I mean? So there are times I've played some real deep stuff with Marshall Allen from the Sun Ra Band, and we played in Brooklyn and other places. We did one thing in Denmark one time, in Copenhagen, and the audience was like maybe 100 people. They were 100 dedicated people to the music. But when we went, I went with another group and we played something a little more broad. It was an audience of about 1,000 people, which meant 1,000 tickets as opposed to 100 tickets being bought. So I mean, it's a thing to raise consciousness, to reach more people, but also to help support your art, because you reach more people who will support the art, and that's very important as well. So I'm happy that we're doing this, because this is a great clip.
Well, it's so wonderful the way the arts speak to each other. So, as always, Warren, it's wonderful for us to talk together.
Oh yeah.
And with that, let's roll them. Let's run the clip.
All right.
Song for my father, Horace Silver.